Well, good morning, everyone. I hope you're having a beautiful day. I am once again getting to get out and exercise a bit on the knee, take my walks, and have my talks. Today, I want to talk about life's one constant. And ironically, that constant is change. As you saw in some of the clips, I have a set of stairs. I also have two very adorable cats, which you saw. One is Miss Tashi. The little blonde guy is Mr. Eddie, and he is a recent adoption. But as you saw, they live and reside and play on a set of steps that many years ago I cut into our backyard. We just had a hill there, and there was no access to go up and down except to walk down a pretty steep hill in our yard. And I simply wanted to terrace in some stairs and create a little walkway down the side of the house, which eventually got landscaped, planted, became a very beautiful addition to the house. Now, you may wonder why I'm talking about home renovations when my topic today is change. Well, that little step of cutting in the staircase behind our house, or landscaping the staircase behind our house, was a very major effort. It took a lot of work. It took some time, energy, planning, skills, motivation, a little funding, but it was something that was worth my efforts and worth the end result of what we wanted, which was an easier way to access the stairs and go up and down the landscaping in the backyard. So I cut those stairs in, and we've enjoyed them tremendously. But guess what? Here we are almost 20-something years later, and those little stairs need maintenance. The gravel I used has settled, and now the steps are a bit higher and taller. The concrete landing pads I used have shifted around, and everything requires a little maintenance. And yes, when I started the process, I definitely wanted some permanence, thus I chose my materials of gravel, concrete, etc. But over the last 30 years, it needs maintenance. Those things have to be maintained. And I tell you this because life is very much the same way. We often think that when we make significant changes, that our job is done, that our task is completed. We think that if we put in the hard work and we see the results, we're done. And that is not the nature of life. The very nature of life is change. In fact, many of you have heard me say and seen in many of my writings that the one constant in this life is change. And so we have to be willing to embrace change constantly, because it is the one constant. We have to be willing to understand when it is time to change things. Do I want to change those steps 30 years later? Do I want to go out and do the hard work, replace the gravel, spend a little more money? Well, not always. But guess what? I have to. That is the nature of making changes, of making a difference. I can certainly let those steps fall apart, the weeds take over and grow back. And then my initial efforts were in vain. I've made no real progress over time. And that's a very valuable thing to keep in mind, that sometimes some changes will require constant vigilance on our end to either maintain those changes or at least keep them in a healthy state of being, much like my steps. And as I mentioned when I started the talk, change is our one constant, which often means that we need to embrace the fact that some changes we make will always need our attention. A great example from my life is many moons ago, I used to be a heavy smoker. I smoked about 2 packs a day. And I really enjoyed smoking. But over time, it definitely became a problem. I was certainly having a lot of coughing and usual breathing, not doing too well in the endurance world. I was not exactly a physically fit person then either, but that's another topic. And so, though I did successfully quit smoking, it requires attention every day. Not that I want a cigarette every day, but there are times when I'm out, many friends still smoke. I'm often in environments that have smoking. And there are times that my mind it thinks back and craves or wants a cigarette, or the smell remedies up something in the mind. And I just remind myself that I really can't have one. I enjoyed them that much. If I have one cigarette, I'll probably be buying a pack the next day. And I know that about myself. So that is a change that requires a bit of diligence. I won't say it's an everyday affair or that it's a war going on, not these days. But it's just an example of how some changes, once you make them, still require much of your attention. 1 second. Oh. So, other types of change just are going to require some maintenance, much like my steps. We will make big changes, we will make great progress, and we can kind of coast for a while. We can kind of go on autopilot, especially when we have made those changes or ingrained them as positive habits. And so we can let them go for a while, much like my steps. But over time, those things will require maintenance because things are always in a constant state of flux, change. Our bodies have continued to grow. Our steps will need repairing. Our minds continue to grow. And that brings up a positive point about change. We need to look at change in a more positive light. Many changes are going to benefit us in ways. What is growth without change? What is education without change? And so, we shouldn't fear change. It is the one constant in our life. What we need to do is master the set of skills that are going to allow us to work with change, to kind of be in the flow with change. Once we have that down, we can truly grow, progress, and move forward, all adjectives of change, in ways that are very meaningful to us, in ways that not only touch our lives, but others. And so on that topic of change, I would like each one of you to think on ways you can embrace change, or look into your life and maybe a big change you made some time back needs a little updating or needs some maintenance. The mission is growth. So just look within and see and embrace change in your days. I appreciate each and every one of you, your comments, your views, your emails. I encourage all of you to subscribe if you have subscribed and would like to be notified, because sometimes clicking the subscribe button doesn't necessarily mean that YouTube is going to let you know when a new video is up. So hit the little bell icon next to the subscribe button and you will be notified of my updates. I try to post every weekend with my Weekend Wisdom series, and maybe we can move forward and get another post up in the middle of the week. As always, peace and love, Jim.